I built this AI that all I do is I come up the top here and I put a URL in here. And what it'll do is it'll go watch the video for me and break the whole video down. And what was a 45-minute video now is a 1-minute read. This is probably the best one.
Hey, it's Ronsley. Welcome, you AI geek, to Amplify AI.
I'm going to show you other stuff here that is really powerful. What was happening was to keep up with AI, and I'm doing a lot of keynotes, and I realized a lot of people are listening. So I have to be more intensive with my preparation for things. So what was happening was I was watching these videos on YouTube that, I don't know, I was watching them at 2 times speed, and I'd get to the middle and it wasn't really what I wanted. I'd already wasted half an hour getting to the middle of this video and it wasn't what I wanted. So I built this AI that all I do is I come up the top here and I say new, and I put an URL in here. And what it'll do is, like, say I put a YouTube URL here, it'll go watch the video for me and break the whole video down. And it'll do, if you want to execute this video, these are the action steps. You do these action steps and this is how you complete them. So what was a 45-minute video now is a 1-minute read. You see? The intelligent automations of custom actions. So you have custom GPTs that will do a particular thing. This is automatic. I don't touch anything. I just put the URL in here. Also, it'll do meeting breakdowns for me. So we had a team meeting, for example. Automatically, it'll put the action items and take the action items and put it into a to-do list based and split it by the people responsible for doing the certain things. So just have a think of how things can be automated in your world. And these are just ideas for you to play with. Now, this is probably the best one. Every day at 9-ish, it will go and find the top 10 news items in my industry. Obviously, mine's AI. And it will organize, not only find them, but it'll organize them and then apply my commentary on that. This is about an Aussie AI infrastructure startup that raises 45 million. And this is what it did. So this just happened, this is all done automatically, by the way. I've not done anything. I have not even started to engage it. Every day at 9:15, I think it'll go back through the last 24 hours, find the top 10 news items, and then apply my voice style. So this just happened. A prominent Swedish private equity firm has taken significant stake in an Aussie AI startup focused on infrastructure, blah, blah, blah. I read this article. Here's what you need to know. These are my key takeaways. And here is what I think. This is in my voice. Isn't it fascinating how new technology continuously reshapes industries? This is my voice style. This is automatic. This is not, I didn't touch anything. We have a similar one like this that is going to be used to create weekly newsletters. So it'll go back through the week, find the top 10 news items for the week for business founders, and then create the newsletter from there. So I'm just giving you examples and ideas, and tell me, what kind of ideas do you get? Maybe you can help us ideate stuff for our businesses as well. Maybe you can help us think through what kind of stuff that we could build AIs that make our job easier. That would be useful. So yesterday I built one for the Amplify AI Academy members. It is an AI that will take the name of your podcast, the host, your name or the name of the host. It'll take your voice style and the transcript of your podcast, and like seconds later give you the show notes with the timestamps, and it'll give you a social post. So that I can't, when I first started doing podcasting, let me tell you how long that would have taken. I would have to give that to a transcriber who would charge me $1 a minute to listen and then get the transcription. Then I would have to give that to a content writer who would listen and get the transcript and then take that and make it, create the show notes from there. Find the timestamps, put the timestamps in, then go and write the social post. This goes from 3 hours of work to 1 second of work. That is ridiculous. when you think about it. Caroline says that she's literally built 20 custom GPTs to help her with her job. And that shows you the difference in having logic trained into you. So Caroline, obviously through computer science, you had logic trained into you. So as a result of logic trained into you, you're able to see the algorithm, which means then you can put the process part of the algorithm and get the AI to do that part. And you're nodding because you know exactly what I'm talking about, which is great. Course creation, research, and summary of findings. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. YouTube's books, writing content, articles, any repeat tasks, especially as I discover ways to tweak AI to overcome its limitations. So actually, let's change that last part of the sentence. Use AI to overcome your limitations rather than its limitations. So it's easy for us to see what it's not good at, but it's amazing at a lot of other things. If we looked at what we're not good at, like for example, I'm very, very, very bad at writing copy, extremely bad. I gotten really good at doing stage speeches because I've been on stage since I was 10, but I got really good at doing podcast interviews through repetition, but I'm not good at writing content. So for me, that was extremely hard to do. I'd had to hire people, and now I can do it in like, it's crazy. Put it out and people understand and they go, oh, this copy was written for me. Wow, what a change, right? So that's my limitation. What are your limitations? Some of us are not good at project planning. Some of us are not good at content or ideation. So those are the things that I would ask you to use AI. About 2 years ago, I created my first AI tool. It's called WriteFlow. And it's got over 100 different functions. It'll do anything from writing content to doing a business model canvas, doing a SWOT analysis. It'll do anything and everything inside a Google Doc for you. And I remember being at a meeting in Abu Dhabi for the Abu Dhabi government, and they were talking about AI. This was a while ago, so this was 21 months ago. So you could just give you an idea where AI was at then. And while they were talking, I was like, okay, so I was trying to explain to them how much AI has changed the landscape when it comes to these business plans and strategic plans. So I said to them, what are you currently dealing with in terms of what is issues that you're trying to solve? And they were like, oh, we're trying to transport dangerous goods. And I was like, oh, like what kind of, dangerous goods? I thought drugs, but it wasn't drugs. It was plutonium and petroleum. I was like, oh, that's cool. So while they were talking, I put into WriteFlow to do a SWOT analysis on transporting dangerous goods like petroleum and plutonium. And I flipped my laptop around, and they were just like looking at that, doing it on the fly. And the main guy goes, Ronsley, my team took 5 weeks and they were a team of 3 people to do what you did in like 15 seconds. This is a beautiful space for you to play in and get really good, especially with frameworks that have already existed. Market research and search engine optimization and semantic search. Oh, SEO. I hated SEO because there's so many things to remember to get it right. Now you don't have to remember those things because we know human memory is just shit in general. Like that's the last thing you should trust. But memory with computers is pretty reliable. So use that in the way it is. And that's the thing I want to talk about here a little bit is understanding that we are a carbon-based life form. We are intelligent and we're a carbon-based life form. So thinking that it's a computer is trivializing it. Think of it as a silicon-based life form that's intelligent. So look at intelligence around us, right? As humans, we thought that plants and trees did not have life until very recently. But we know it has life. So intelligence organizes itself. And it's the same with silicon-based intelligence, which is AI. As a carbon-based intelligence form, we require food and water to survive. Under the right conditions and the right environmental conditions, we thrive. The same with a silicon-based life form. It requires power and data to survive. Under the right environmental conditions. So data being such an important part of this equation, it's important to understand where the data has come from. And if the data isn't already in the large language model, then it's our job to put that in. What I mean by that is there is no record of indigenous wisdom inside the current large language models because it's been scraped from the web, right? So some of the indigenous ways of thinking, how collaboration and connection and courage and all those things are not inbuilt into the large language model. So you've got to put those instructions specifically in there if you want to converse with something like that. Does that make sense? The context size, the context being so important. Okay. So when you're using AI and you're not getting what you want, it's because you've not given it the right context. That was my little rant on search. There's a big difference between search and intelligence. Understand that. Search is different. Search needs information. If it can't find the information, it'll say not found. Intelligence is different. Intelligence will take other elements around it and make an intelligent guess. So what we call hallucination is actually it making an intelligent guess. And what is hallucination is caused because there's not enough context. If you're not using custom GPTs, how are you creating these? There's different platforms. I think Replit is one where you can write code inside a Replit and it operates on the web. So for example, what you saw there is code that's written for OpenAI on Replit. It's living on the cloud and it's running through the cloud, and it's that front face is what you see. Greg, how can I search and curate thousands of notes, web clips, stuff saved, built over many years to mine it and get the insights rather than from the open LLMs? That's a great question. Greg, if you could unmute just quickly, were you around when I explained the two big numbers that are required for an LLM that we need to know about? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so. It's partly to do with the context window size and other things. I think that's one of them from memory.
Perfect. Yeah. So short-term memory and long-term memory. That's brilliant, Greg. So the long-term memory is the training data that is used to train the large language models. It's actually not called short and long-term memory. I'm just kind of giving you to liken it to that. So I liken the training data to long-term memory. The short-term memory is how much it remembers in the context window when it's executing the prompt. So if you're saying thousands of notes and web clips, you'd want something with a large context window. And right now,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I joined Evernote in 2008. I've got 17,000 articles. I've got, Twitter. I've got LinkedIn bookmarks. I've got hundreds of Apple Notes. I mean, I'm confident in the stuff I've got. I'd rather have a good crack at that first than just slavishly handing general info, just going to general database, which can be good stuff, but it can also be rubbish. And I want to try my own stuff first.
No, I think what you're doing is the way to do it. There's no other alternative to that, in my opinion. What is general training? Think about it like this, right? A human child is born on the planet, and we send the child to 12 years of school so that they can operate on the planet. Then we send them to 4 years of specialization so they can operate in a specialized zone. And then we send them to another 3 years of masters to operate in a specialized field in that space. So you think of training data as training the AI to be to a 12th grade level. And then you put your data, which is your thousands of notes and stuff like that, and it comes up to the, it's focusing on that, and it becomes a bachelor of something, of your notes. So to answer your question, large context window is Gemini, Google Gemini. It's got a 1.5 million, but it'll soon go up to a 2 million token window. So best way to keep all your stuff in one spot and is to use Google's Gemini.
It's a bit of an arms race, isn't it? I mean, you'll get ChatGPT will get an upgrade, then Claude. I really want to be wary of shiny object syndrome. I'm happy to pick Claude projects and invest in that, trusting that it will all just evolve anyway.
So yeah, I mean, each one of them are very different to each other. ChatGPT doesn't have that kind of context size. Claude has a bigger context size, but not as big as Gemini. And yeah, they'll all improve over time, but they all have different functionalities that make them operate the way they do.
Yeah, the privacy aspects are huge. I'm sure many of us are touching on that now, and that's you're getting into more advanced AI and very bespoke things. Companies are doing it, but smaller operators don't have that sort of deep pockets to do that. But I'm interested in protecting it a little more as best you can.
Yeah, and that's why I would not use OpenAI's anything, if that's the concern, because there's nothing open about OpenAI. We don't know anything. We don't know We don't know algorithms. We don't know how they're doing things. They're not open about anything. And also, if you consider a few other elements here, like the godfather of AI, Geoffrey Hinton, who just won the Nobel Prize, has criticized openly in public Sam Altman, which is a major red flag. The second major red flag is all the other co-founders of OpenAI have left. So I wouldn't trust OpenAI with my data just based on what I see out there. I would trust Claude a bit more, but I would trust even more if I had a local large language model on my computer with my own data doing its own thing.
So what's the best way to access that, Ronsley? I'm curious because I've got it there and I'm happy to spend a bit extra to try and protect it. Now, Claude seems a little more ethical, but I know it's not perfect because it's an offshoot originally from ChatGPT. And
no, it's not. It's not.
Well, it's not. Isn't it the owners? Didn't they move out, some of the engineers?
No, they're built on entirely different theses. Like Anthropic highly is very human based. They have the principles that it's based on are very different to OpenAI. OpenAI started off with a good intention, but we can't see any of that right now in operation. That's what Elon Musk is talking about a lot. Is like, I invested in OpenAI and I gave it all this money with this in mind, and we're not doing this in what is being said. So I would stick to Claude right now if I were you, but then if you wanted to explore further, go and look at Ollama, Ollama. It's a text-based, install it on your laptop. You've got to have a good amount of RAM. So you're basically, what you're doing is you're installing a large language model on your laptop, and you don't need Wi-Fi. You don't need anything.
That's right. You want to get it offline. You want to have a version that can be used offline if, there's a lot of restrictions starting to come and you could get cancelled very easily, and then you're
correct.
And
really these large language, and these are you can download uncensored ones as well, and you can have a variety of different things.
That's the thing that keeps ringing in my ears. If it's free, then you're often the product. They're mining you for what you need, and I'm just incredibly wary of that. I mean, with client stuff, I just don't put it there. There's workarounds within app special things, but got to be really careful how you petition it all.
Can't disconnect from the internet because then we'd lose all of you. But this is Ollama that's running. I have a graphics version as well, but it's actually running on my terminal. So I'm running Llama 3.2 right now, which is Meta's open source model, and it is writing me an article on supercomputers, which is ridiculous.
You don't have to be a coder to get into this, do you, necessarily? This looks code-based.
It is. I mean, that's why I said I would stick to Claude right now, just because I feel like these things will get easier to install over time.
Yes.
But these are very, text heavy and technically heavy as well. But stick to Claude if I were you.
That's good, because I think there's even a paid option within there. You can get extra security protocols. I think it might be only more for businesses, bigger businesses, but I think there is options there. There's a little more protection, it seems.
There's Teams. And also, if you use the API on any of these models, your data is not being used to train the models.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Greg. Chris, items on my everyday shopping list. When you mentioned shopping list, I wonder whether you guys are using AI in this manner where you go to your fridge and take a picture of your fridge and say, can you tell me what I can make for lunch? I'm not joking. I am not joking. If you haven't used it, try it. Like, literally click a picture of the stuff you have in your fridge and say to ChatGPT, what can I make for lunch? It's crazy. Then the other thing to do that is really powerful, and if you haven't gone to school and look at the training, there are these 9 insane use cases that I've done. So in the training, there's some really cool things that you can learn. One of them is how to get overwhelmed. And you just open your notepad on your phone, open up dictation, and for the next minute and a half, just dump and speak out all the stuff that you have on your mind. Whatever it is that's bothering you, these things, I've got to do that. I've got to pick up this person. I've got to give the car for service. I've got to neuter the cat. I don't know, whatever it is. And then you take that and then you put that in a ChatGPT and say, organize this in a logical manner. And what was running around in your head and annoying the shit out of you for all this time is just now organized in a logical manner, and your brain goes, oh. So these are things that you can use AI for that, people are not really thinking about. And I feel like it could just dramatically reduce cognitive load. Said this a lot, especially on the podcast. I don't think that the regulation of artificial intelligence should be given to government. That is probably the worst thing that could happen. One, I'm also really happy that AI is kind of democratized in a way, in the sense that we have open models that we can install on our laptops. For example, if the government cuts off, OpenAI and Anthropic and all these other platforms, we still can have large language models on our computers, which means AI can still exist even if they cut off and they say that these companies cannot exist, which you never know. Like, governments have done crazier stuff in the past. I remember when colored people were put in camps, so as the legal thing to do. So you think about how this has evolved, and you don't want AI to go into the wrong hands, obviously. So that's my spiel. I've been invited to OpenAI's Dev Day next month in Singapore, which I'm super excited to go. And I'm super excited to ask some really important questions, like how open is OpenAI? But I'm going to stream from there, hopefully, and get you all in there. But enjoy the school group, each other's company, ask questions, and use AI for good. Until next time, thanks for joining me.
Hey, AI Geek. Thanks for listening. Your job doesn't stop here. I want you to lend your voice to the conversation. So you can join those conversations, discussions, new trainings, new recordings, and the rest of the AI Geeks by going to aigeeks.co. Also, share this podcast with a friend, another potential AI geek. Until then, much love.